Hello, my name is Ellen Bussey, and welcome to our new Thrive podcast. In this series, we will be talking about various types of diseases that have become quite prevalent today and new research that reveals natural ways you can take control of your health and hopefully reach a place where you're actually able to live your life well and thrive. Be sure to sign up below if you would like to receive each week's podcast in this special series. Come along with me as we discover these uncommon but very practical secrets to being able to overcome illness and disease. So what makes up a healthy body versus a sick body? Would it make sense to say that a healthy body is balanced and an unhealthy body is imbalanced? What are the most common types of sickness that we have in America right now today? Allergies, asthma, cancer, obesity, arthritis, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and another biggie, autoimmune disorders. So what are autoimmune disorders exactly? The body in its healthy state has an intelligent immune system that is able to tell the difference between what's human and what's not healthy to exist inside the human body. This is how it fights off infections. However, when this system becomes flawed in some way, a chain reaction gets started where the system attacks normal cells by mistake, attacking our own body. It is this damage that has become known now as any variety of 80 different autoimmune diseases that now exist, affecting over 23.5 million Americans today. Even more interesting, it's the leading cause of death and disability in our nation today and can affect anyone. So what has the latest research produced that might be helpful to us? And are there any natural healing methods as alternatives to consider over typical medical treatments? Is healing even possible for illnesses such as autoimmune disorders, or do we just have to manage them for the rest of our lives? I hope to answer all of these questions throughout this series and share with you some new and interesting information that's on the cutting edge of science, research, and technology, in hopes that this might benefit you or someone you know. So please feel free to pass the word along by sharing the links we have available, and be sure to subscribe as well so you can stay tuned, follow along with me, and stay in the loop as we continue this very interesting series. In this first podcast, I'm going to be able to provide some answers about not only autoimmune disorders, but also the other prevalent diseases I already mentioned. So let me ask you a question. Do you think that there might actually be a common thread to all of these illnesses and diseases? If so, what might it be? Well, Dr. Floyd Chilton at Wake Forest University has found that common thread to be chronic and whole body inflammation. So what are known causes of inflammation? Stress, of course. And our food supply has changed, dating back to when World War II efforts created processed foods and products that would have a longer lasting shelf life. This has altered the quality of food that our bodies can actually process correctly. The food choices we tend to make for all sorts of reasons tend to be too many processed high-fat foods. As a result, our nation has been cited for being the most overweight and unhealthy nation in the world. So what can we do to turn things around? We need to rebalance the imbalances that already exist in our bodies. What are ways we can do that? Well, we can lose weight, exercise regularly, and change our diets from processed foods to whole, clean eating types of foods. So what exactly can we change in our diets? In addition to eating more wholesome foods, we need to supplement with basic building blocks of nutrition to cover inconsistencies in our diet. We can do our best and try to eat healthfully as much as possible, but some days we're grabbing food on the fly and the busy lives we lead don't allow us as much time to ensure we're getting all of our basic nutrients covered. Covering the basics with supplementing is a simple and sure way of providing our bodies with what they need to fight these sicknesses and disease. The second thing we can do is increase the omega-3s in our diet and decrease the omega-6s in our diet. Why? I'm sure you've heard all about why omega-3s are good, and generally speaking, most think that omega-6s are good as well, and they are, but only to a point. Then they can become a bad thing. Let me explain. Omega-6s are both good and bad because they kind of have a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde effect to them, two facets within the same. The short-chain omega-6s are the good ones, but the long-chain omega-6s are bad because they produce excess inflammation when we have more than we should have in our diets. Specifically, one of the elements of the omega-6 is called arachidonic acid, or AA for short, which is the part that is directly responsible for producing that inflammation. What do you think that name arachidonic sounds like to you? Does it make you think of anything in particular? That's right, an arachnid, or a spider. Eating foods with too much AA is toxic to our bodies, and it is this that is creating our inflammatory diseases. It has been linked to heart disease specifically, and is present in large quantities in our food due to those changes I had mentioned in our food supply. So how can we actually decrease the omega-6s in our bodies? Well, it turns out that soybean oil is the #1 source of omega-6 in America and is in most processed shelf foods and fried foods. It's in margarine, salad dressings, and cooking oils, and used in many of our restaurants. The #1 way we can take control is by decreasing our intake of omega-6 by reading labels and choosing canola or olive oils instead of vegetable, soybean, corn, or cottonseed oils. When you go to a restaurant, ask them if they use soybean oil and make your menu choices accordingly. We can also increase our omega-3s, the good omegas, by doing a couple of things. The two elements within omega-3s are ALA and EPA. We can eat more ALA by choosing to add flaxseed, walnuts, plants, and more vegetables to our diets. We can also eat more EPA by eating salmon and tuna, as well as supplementing with a good fish oil supplement. Salmon has actually been found to be a safer anti-inflammatory than aspirin is because it has no side effects. So, to recap, there are two major areas we can all take control of any present inflammation in our bodies in order to prevent or turn around various diseases. They are to exercise and to make improved nutritional choices to rebalance the scale of our health. Those nutritional choices consist of incorporating the basic building blocks of nutrition through supplementation, decreasing the omega-6s by reading labels and finding good substitutes, and increasing the omega-3s by supplementing with fish oil and more fish in our diets. And what will be the end result? Decreased inflammation. We will have cut our risk potential for diseases. We will be at a healthy weight. We will hopefully live longer. And we will have energy to live life and thrive. I hope this has been very helpful and eye-opening information for you. Thank you for joining me, and don't forget, please be sure to sign up so you don't miss out on our next episode where we will look at other areas we can take back control and thrive in our lives.